Now we're going to learn the angles of attack that we can use with our staff in combat or fighting. To give you a visual demonstration and example, I've got Sensei John here. He's going to be my opponent. And to really give you an easy view at this, you can break up his body here into quadrants, right? You've got 4 quadrants, but we have 8 striking angles, or 8 angles of attack. Angle 1 is in between these 2 tips of the staff. It's the top left section of your opponent. What you can do here is strike down to the clavicle, to the neck, to the temple, to the side of the head, all on this left side. That's angle 1. Okay? Angle 2 on your opponent is on the other side of their body. It's in this quadrant here. Striking down again, clavicle, temple, neck, anything on the side of the body, but on their right side. Okay, so we have angle 1 and then we have angle 2. Angle 3 is coming on in a horizontal plane. A horizontal plane demonstrated by the staff that he's holding parallel to the ground. We're coming into the opponent, striking to the ribs, we're striking to the internal organs, we're striking to the hip even. And then angle 4 is the same idea, but on the other side of the body. Okay, on the right side of their hip, their midsection. And angle 5 is going to be the bottom quadrant on the left side of your opponent. You could strike to the knee, to the nerves on the leg, and anything down on the bottom side. Okay, angle 6, same thing on the right side of your opponent. Angle 7 would be striking straight up, straight through to the groin, for example. And then angle 8 is coming straight down on the top of the head or on the very top part of your opponent. Those are our 8 angles of attack. Now, so you can understand this, I'm just going to give you some quick visuals. If we're going to come down to angle 1, we're doing a descending strike. You're striking downward. There are other strikes you could do, but a descending strike usually makes the most sense. And that leads me into this next section. I want to talk about the 4 striking directions. We have descending, horizontal, ascending, and thrusting. Because when we're fighting with our bow, when we're defending ourselves, trying to save our life, whatever we have to do, we don't need to rely on an exact motion. We don't have to rely on an overhead front strike or a specific uppercut to a specific vital point. Clearly, we know in self-defense and fighting that we need to have a basic understanding, but if we don't hit the exact point at the exact moment in time, we don't want that to be the end and be all for us. We just want to understand the basics and the concepts, and that's what we're doing here. So our 4 striking directions, the first one is, like I said, descending. A descending strike is simply the idea of you come up to a high guard. And then to make this a little bit easier to see, you can just hold that out. I'm coming down, striking to the neck, for example, the clavicle, and that angle 1 zone. Okay, another type of descending strike could be on the other side, simply coming up high and then coming down with gravity, with power, with force. And of course, our last angle, which is angle zone number 8, would end up being a descending strike. Our next class of the plane of striking that we have is horizontal. Horizontal strikes, for example, striking straight across on our zone 3 or zone 4. You're staying parallel to the ground, and those are our horizontal strikes. Okay? And then another class of strikes are ascending strikes, whether it be coming up to the leg or going straight up to the groin, or even coming straight up under the arm, straight up striking to the hand, different vital points like this. It's not to one particular type of strike, it's just a direction that you're hitting in. Okay, and our final direction that you would use is thrusting. And what that means is that it's a straight strike, parallel to the ground. Whether it be a 2-hand thrust or 1-armed thrust, anything that's involved with thrusting in a forward motion, parallel to the ground. So with these 8 striking angles that we could hit, and with the 4 directions, you have many, many different types of combinations. You have numerous types of strikes you could do. But now that we understand the angles themselves and the striking directions, we're going to learn our 8 basic strikes. These are going to be our most common and effective ways to hit those zones. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'll just put this aside, sir. Now, again, on our opponent, if I'm going to hit strike zone number 1, okay, our number 1 strike is the most effective way to do it. Clearly, I could come over and do something crazy like this. Yes, that would hit the zone. I could do a quick strike. That would also work. But the most normal and effective way would be coming up high and then rotating down, doing a descending strike to angle 1, right? So we're going to call that strike number 1. So again, here, coming up and then down. Most effective way in most situations for striking angle number 2 would be strike number 2 is coming up high, preparing, rotating, another descending strike. Effective way to strike angle 3 would be having the staff more horizontal, rotating and hooking your body through, like you're throwing a hook punch. Number 4, same idea on the other side. When we get down to angle zone number 5, we bring the staff down and we can do an ascending strike. Again, I could do a descending, I could strike down, I could even thrust to the knee. There are other ways to hit these zones, but we're going to learn our most core and important strikes, and we call strikes 1 through 8, okay? Would be an ascending. And then zone 6, ascending coming up. Zone 7, growing strike coming up. And then zone 8 would be descending down to the top of the head. And those are our basic strikes that are the most effective ways to hit zones 1 through 8.